Once hailed as a beacon of economic ascent and technological prowess, China now stands on the precipice of a perfect storm. From the looming threat of catastrophe at the Three Gorges Dam to the devastating floods in Beijing, from an economic collapse to simmering social unrest, the nation is grappling with deep fissures in its political, economic, and social fabric. In 2025, the secrets long concealed by the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, are no longer mere whispers, but a resounding cry of distorted truths. Behind the glossy proclamations of growth and stability lies a grim reality where ordinary citizens bear the heavy cost of both natural disasters and human failures. The Three Gorges Dam, a geological time bomb. In Hubei province, the Three Gorges Dam, the world's largest hydroelectric structure, has become the epicenter of fears about a potential catastrophe. Perched atop the unstable Yangtze tectonic plate, the dam faces persistent minor tremors from ancient fault lines. Just days after an 8.7 magnitude earthquake struck Kamchatka, Russia, over 20 small aftershocks were recorded in Hubei, Sichuan, and Yunnan. 4 of these sent seismic waves directly to the dam's reservoir, raising alarms about the safety of this colossal 39-million-ton structure. The Yangtze fault system, lying directly beneath the dam, is described by geologists as a ticking time bomb. While Chinese engineers once boasted that the dam could withstand a 7.0 magnitude earthquake, it has never been tested by a major quake in the region. A leaked report from the Chinese Academy of Geological Sciences reveals that minor tectonic shifts, even just a few millimeters annually, have accelerated since the 2008 Sichuan earthquake, which claimed over 80,000 lives. These shifts, combined with the pressure of 45 billion cubic meters of water in the reservoir, heighten the risk of structural failure. Visible cracks on the dam's surface have grown more pronounced in recent years, though authorities dismiss them as normal phenomena. Independent scientists, however, warn that repeated small tremors could trigger a resonance effect, weakening the dam's foundation. A Japanese simulation suggests that a collapse of the Three Gorges Dam could unleash a flood that would engulf Wuhan within 6 hours, threatening the lives of over 600 million people downstream along the Yangtze River. The immense water pressure during the rainy season, when the reservoir reaches its maximum height of 175 meters, exacerbates risks of erosion and hidden crack expansion. A study from the China Institute of Geophysics warns that seismic waves with an amplitude of just 0.2 G, combined with weak bedrock and high water levels, could triple the stress on the dam's foundation joints. The interconnected fault systems stretching from Kamchatka through northern China and deep into the mainland act as conduits for seismic energy. The Kamchatka quake, 4,600 kilometers away, sent geological ripples to Hubei, much like a pebble disturbing a pond. Geologists fear that a 6.0 magnitude quake or stronger during the rainy season, coupled with upstream landslides, could awaken the Yangtze Fault, triggering an unimaginable disaster. The Chinese government insists the dam is completely safe, but in the realm of nature, nothing is absolute. Beijing's flood disaster, a wound, still raw. While the Three Gorges Dam grapples with seismic threats, Beijing, the heart of China, is still reeling from the catastrophic floods of July 26, 2025. In the Liulisi area of Huairu district, a sudden flash flood transformed a once idyllic camping destination into a muddy graveyard. A torrent of water, described as a wall dozens of meters high, swept away homes, vehicles, and lives. Locals recounted, "The flood came at midnight, obliterating everything. Houses were torn apart, cars floated like toys, and the entire area was buried in mud and debris. Thousands of vehicles were submerged or buried, bridges collapsed, and homes were reduced to rubble. According to civilian sources, hundreds perished in the muddy deluge, yet official figures from Beijing authorities remain contentious. By July 31st, the government reported only 44 deaths and 9 missing, including 31 victims from a nursing home in Taishitun village, Miyun district. Independent journalists and survivors, however, claim the true toll is far higher. An anonymous source revealed, on July 28 alone, over 100 bodies were recovered from the flood zone, yet state media initially claimed 0 casualties. The stench of mud and decaying animal remains has rendered the air in Liulisi suffocating. Rescue teams, supported by over 60 trained dogs, combed through the wreckage in search of the missing, but hope of finding survivors is all but extinguished. A netizen named Jin Li Yubao shared a heartbreaking story. A family camping was swept away by the flood, with the mother and child missing and the father's fate unknown. Such stories are the painful reality for thousands in Beijing, where the grief of loss lingers unabated. Economic crisis, shattered trust. Alongside these natural disasters, China is mired in an unprecedented economic crisis. The economy, once celebrated for its meteoric growth, is now in freefall. A tsunami of bankruptcies and layoffs has swept through industries, from technology to manufacturing. Millions, from recent graduates to middle-aged workers, face widespread unemployment. In Shenzhen, once a vibrant tech hub, finding decent work is now akin to searching for gold in a desert. A 21-year-old university graduate shared, "I carry 200 sacks of sand daily, each weighing 2 kilograms, for 40 trips, just to earn 10 yuan. This is my reality after 4 years of college." Young people, including master's degree holders from prestigious universities, are forced into jobs like food delivery or manual labor to survive. A master's graduate from a top-tier 211 university said bitterly, "I have a young child and elderly parents to support. After 8 months of job hunting, I became a delivery rider. If I'd known, I wouldn't have studied so hard." Many are driven to live under bridges, elderly women, young girls, unable to afford rent. "What kind of era is this? The world has lost its warmth," one resident lamented. The government claims a 5.3% economic growth rate for the first half of 2025, but this figure is widely doubted by citizens and experts alike. Stock prices surged briefly after the announcement, but soon plummeted, with 4,694 companies losing value and only 675 gaining. "No one believes them anymore," one citizen said. "Earning money is harder than eating." While civil servants and government employees enjoy stable incomes, ordinary workers are grateful just to survive another day. Covering up the truth. The CCP's shadow. The CCP's lack of transparency runs like a thread through these crises. At the Three Gorges Dam, data on tectonic movements and structural stress is tightly controlled. Independent scientists have called for advanced radar and accelerometer systems to detect risks early, but these pleas seem to fall on deaf ears. Instead, the government repeatedly asserts that the dam is completely safe, despite growing evidence of cracks and increasing seismic activity. Similarly, in Beijing, residents accuse authorities of suppressing information about the flood's death toll, releasing only managed figures to pacify the public. A Chinese lawyer, Zheng, stated, "I don't trust the casualty figures the government provides, and I believe many Chinese feel the same. Remember the 2021 Zhengzhou floods? The real numbers were always far higher than official reports." This opacity not only fuels social unrest, but also erodes public trust in the government. "They used to at least pretend to care," a Guangdong resident said. "Now they don't even bother acting." Amid the economic crisis, the CCP's promises of great victories only deepen public despair. Critical data on geology, casualties, and the economy is tightly controlled with little public transparency, leaving citizens feeling abandoned in their own country. Social fallout. The pain of ordinary people. The consequences of these crises extend beyond material losses to profound emotional wounds. In Beijing, flood survivors face an uncertain future. Many have lost homes and possessions with no insurance to rebuild. A resident of Dongyu village pointed to flood marks over 2 meters high on a wall and said, "The entire village was submerged. All our crops, trees, and homes were swept away." In cities like Shenzhen and Guangdong, unemployment has plunged millions into poverty. Many pawn their homes, cars, even phones to survive. People still order food delivery because they have to eat. That's the last flicker of the economy, one resident noted. Yet even delivery jobs are scarce, as summer students and the unemployed compete fiercely. Personal stories starkly illustrate the people's suffering. A young man from Jiangxi shared, "I'm penniless, haven't eaten in days, and can't afford a bus ticket home. I don't know what to do." An elderly woman living under a bridge in Guangdong said bitterly, "We invested so much in life, and now it's all gone." But in the face of disasters and crises, survival is what matters most. Conclusion: an uncertain future. China in 2025 is a land of stark contrasts. A nation once proud of its economic and technological might now faces unprecedented challenges. The seismic risks at the Three Gorges Dam, the devastating floods in Beijing, and the economic collapse have exposed deep flaws in the CCP's governance. The lack of transparency, suppression of truth, and hollow promises only deepen public discontent. As of August 8, 2025, China stands at a historical crossroads. Can it weather this perfect storm, or will it sink deeper into crisis? The answer lies not in fabricated growth figures or grandiose claims, but in the hidden truths and silenced voices of millions. As the Three Gorges Dam trembles before nature's might and citizens struggle to survive, one thing is clear. China faces an uncertain future, where both nature and humanity are tested to their limits.
The houses have collapsed and the bridges have been destroyed. The footage shows Fubao ancient town in Luzhou, Sichuan province, submerged by floodwaters. In recent days, mainland China has been hit by continuous flooding. Fubao ancient town experienced a rare and massive flood. Videos show the entire town surrounded by water, with muddy floodwaters engulfing the streets and houses, and debris floating everywhere. Overnight, relentless rains pushed thousands of aging dams past their limit. Many unleashed torrents of water with no warning to residents. In the chaos, poorly built tofu-dreg dams crumbled like paper, turning towns downstream into disaster zones. Netizens reported that the flood struck overnight without any warning.
"A once-in-a-century flood submerged my home in just a few minutes,"
one resident said. The entire town turned into a vast expanse of water. According to Lu Mei, due to heavy rainfall and upstream inflow, the water level at the Fubao Second Bridge Station on the Dachao River reached 243.20 meters, exceeding the warning level by 3.7 meters, and continued to rise. A local blogger exclaimed, "Everyone come take a look. Fubao is flooded. Half the bridge has been washed away. I heard some children didn't make it out and were swept away. Even our small creeks have turned into the Yellow River. It's still raining today and will continue tomorrow. My relatives' homes and even the tea factory they built themselves are all underwater. Look at me. Everything is soaked." Videos show residents' homes submerged in water, with people climbing onto rooftops calling for help. "We're on the roof. The house is flooded and everything is floating away," a woman shouted. "Look, even the tea house is filled with smoke. The water is getting higher and things are collapsing," another said. "This is unprecedented flooding in Fubao," a local resident said. "We couldn't save anything. Everything is ruined. Even my new white stockings are all soaked." A blogger said, "A once-in-a-century flood has struck my hometown. In the face of disaster, you realize how small and helpless you are. Neighbors are helping each other, rescuing themselves. Honestly, up to now, not a single government official has come to check on our street." Meanwhile, in the morning, a sudden flood hit Sichuan ancient town in Shanyang County, Shangluo City, Shanxi Province. Overnight, many shops and homes were inundated. Many vehicles were swept away, and the flood scenes were horrifying. A blogger exclaimed that it was the first time they had seen such a massive flood. Videos posted by several residents of ancient towns showed streets submerged under muddy yellow water. The owner of a snack shop told Lu Mei that his store, located on the ground floor, was completely flooded. Some local residents said the floodwaters rose rapidly and submerged the streets in just over 20 minutes. The disaster cut off water and electricity in the town, and mobile phone signals were also affected. In Sichuan ancient town, this was the most severe flash flood in its history. "No one knows where so much water came from," a resident said. Maotai town also experienced an extremely severe flood. From early morning until now, the water level has continued rising. Directly across from the flood zone is the Queichou Motai distillery. If the water level rises any higher, the distillery will be affected. Even the 1915 square in town was flooded, and several vehicles were damaged. "Let's hope no one was injured," said a resident. This is the largest flood Maotai has experienced in its history. The water level reached the same height as the bridge deck. A live stream showed many areas underwater. "Only when you're there can you feel how fierce the flood really is," a resident commented. "This is the most powerful flood in nearly 30 years in Maotai, without question. Look over there. That's the office of the chairman of the Maotai distillery." The floodwaters were still rising. Guizhou province had been battered by heavy rainfall for days. The heavy rains triggered flooding in the Qishui River, which roared downstream like a beast. By midday, the floodwaters had surged through Maotai town, inundating even the 1915 square. A local photographer captured shocking images. Due to upstream downpours, the entire Qishui River had turned brown and turbid. Locals said it was the largest volume of water they had seen in 30 years. Mutai, once labeled as China's national liquor and a symbol of the Chinese Communist Party's red legacy, was long supplied exclusively to elite circles and official events. All residents of Maotai Street have been evacuated. Another netizen shared, "I went to Maotai today. It's been many years since we've had such a flood. I feel like there have been so many natural disasters this year. As soon as I got to the street, I saw firefighters handing out flyers, and people were clearly in a state of panic. Seeing such a massive flood made me feel deeply conflicted. What's going on today? Floods are everywhere and business is terrible. Even survival is difficult," said a local. Witnessing the disaster made many feel an urge to help, even if others might be suffering more. "All I can do is silently pray in my heart," said one resident. "I hope everyone in the affected areas stays safe, and I also hope it stops raining soon, or more people will suffer." From the night of July 8th to the early morning of July 9th, under the influence of Typhoon Danis, Sichuan County in Guizhou Province was hit by torrential rain. At the same time, the Dongfeng Reservoir in Sichuan released floodwaters, submerging the county seat in water. A netizen said over 80% of underground garages and parts of shopping malls were flooded, with the deepest water reaching 4 meters. Since June, floods have ravaged many parts of China. From July 8 to 9, Jiaotong in Yunnan Province saw record-breaking rain, with Weixin County receiving 254.4 mm, its highest since 1958. Streets were submerged, causing major losses. The topic trended online as locals shared scenes of devastation. One badly hit street had shops underwater. Now, owners are clearing debris and disinfecting. This is the Weixin Tongshinyuan supermarket, one of the most seriously affected areas. "Look at this clothing shop. Everything was flooded," someone said. "Water, dogs, mess everywhere." "Since what time did you start cleaning today?" they asked. "This is my city, the city after disaster, the city at dawn." Despite devastating floods across mainland China, not a single senior Chinese Communist Party official above vice-national level has shown up to inspect the worst-hit areas, offered any public condolences, or issued any so-called important directives. Go to college or start working? In the end, even after going to college, you still end up working. These days, working makes you realize that academic degrees don't carry much value anymore. Let me tell everyone how many extras like me there are in Hengdian, nearly 200,000 people. The wage? Just 10 yuan per hour. If you don't take the job, someone else will. There are too many people doing extra roles. Got it? If you had to choose between going to college or receiving 1 million yuan, what would you choose? 1 million? Why? Because even after graduating, I might not be able to earn 1 million. 1 million? Why? Because I already went to school and still couldn't make 1 million. Even after college, there's no guarantee you'll earn that much. So now, is it better to study or work? Work. Degrees just don't seem to be worth much anymore. In Shenzhen, business owners are vanishing en masse. Tens of thousands of small and micro enterprises are struggling on the brink of collapse. I've been in finance in Shenzhen for 8 years and have never seen anything this devastating. Orders have plummeted by 60% and profits are thinner than a sheet of A4 paper. No matter where you go, no matter what kind of supplier you talk to, be it garment factories, post-processing workshops, component shops, gold plating, rhinestone, or button pressing factories, everyone says this is the worst year they've seen in a long time. Today, despite the scorching heat of over 30 degrees Celsius, people are still out under the sun, holding fans, walking down Qianan New Street looking for work. They're not afraid of the heat or gloomy skies. It's life that has driven them to this. With today's job market, what's the point of going to college? If you're in debt, go deliver food. This saying has driven countless people to join the ranks of food delivery workers. Tens of thousands of university students are about to enter the job-hunting battlefield again. Hopefully, the platforms will stop blindly hiring and exaggerating their advertisements. Hiring a bunch of graduates to deliver food, does it do justice to their degrees, to the years they've spent burning the midnight oil? Promising salaries of tens of thousands of yuan a month, can that really be fulfilled? With rented bikes and rented batteries, how many students last just 2 months before having to apologize and quit? Besides, we already have more than enough people. If they keep recruiting endlessly, no one will have a way out in the end. Hello everyone, we are traditional Chinese medicine graduate students from the class of 2025. There's not much to say except that we're heartbroken, we've been unable to find jobs and are now planning to deliver food. Using our little green e-bikes, today is our first day making deliveries, and we're already completely exhausted. China's economy is in severe decline. All industries are struggling. Waves of unemployment and bankruptcies are sweeping across the nation. Factories and companies are shutting down one after another. A huge number of stores are closing. The job market is dire. Businesses are cutting salaries and laying off workers. Both factory workers and university graduates can't find jobs. Many people can't afford rent. Some can't even afford food. They're facing a survival crisis. The streets are packed with people who can't even move forward. Did you see that? It's true, they can't move. Oh man, it's so hard. They're all decent people, and the more decent you are, the harder it is to survive. Still thinking about going to Yiwu, Wenzhou, Jinhua, or Zhejiang to work? Don't. Unless you have strong connections. July and August are brutally hot. Many factories have no air conditioning, and some even force workers to buy their own fans. The average wage? Just 3,500 to 4,000 yuan, without food or housing. Those who brag about earning 8,000, 12,000 yuan? They're lying. Only a few make that much, and the work is unbearable, like beasts of burden from 6 a.m. to midnight. The job market is brutal. Even our profitable company has stopped hiring. Most places now only pick the cheapest, most efficient workers. If you stay, be prepared to do the work of 2 people. No help, no excuses, just grind and survive. Take a look at today's social reality. People from Henan working in Shanghai are living in tricycles. It's been raining nonstop, and even though their tricycles leak, there's nothing they can do. It's the same in Guangzhou. More and more people are looking for jobs. Everywhere you look, you see people leaving factories. Brothers, stop spending money recklessly. Earning money now is truly difficult. Spending 100 yuan feels easy, but earning 100 yuan feels like risking your life. Delivery workers ride into neighborhoods without elevators and have to climb the stairs. In neighborhoods with elevators, bikes aren't allowed inside. When it pours rain, they're soaked to the bone. Each delivery earns only 4.5 yuan. How many deliveries do you think you have to make to earn just 100 yuan? In recent years, the Chinese people have personally witnessed the transition from the illusion of economic prosperity during the reform and opening up period to the current state where the economy teeters on the edge of collapse. A Great Depression is quietly looming, and all people can do is watch helplessly. Shopping malls across the country are eerily empty, and the jobless crowd every corner. Internet users are sharing that most young people today simply can't find jobs, suffocating under anxiety. Even having a proper meal has become a serious concern.
In 2025, China faces an unrelenting nightmare, where nature's wrath and human error converge into a catastrophic crisis, plunging millions into despair. From the bustling streets of Beijing to remote villages in Sichuan, floodwaters surge, engulfing homes, sweeping away livelihoods, and exposing secrets long concealed by the Chinese Communist Party, CCP. At the heart of this storm lies the Three Gorges Dam. Once a symbol of China's ambition to tame nature, now a ticking time bomb threatening to obliterate millions of lives. Cries for help echo from flooded rooftops, viral videos on social media reveal harrowing truths, and an eerie silence from Beijing paints a grim picture of a nation teetering on the edge of economic, social, and political collapse. The disaster began as relentless rain, but swiftly escalated into an uncontrollable deluge. By late June and early July 2025, 329 rivers across China exceeded warning levels, according to a belated announcement from the Ministry of Water Resources. Beijing, the nation's heart, drowned as the Miyun Reservoir was forced to release floodwaters to protect itself, causing downstream rivers like the Chao and Bai to overflow. In Beijing's Miyun district, Taishatun town became an isolated island, with floodwaters reaching the third and even fourth floors of buildings. Ms. Feng, a resident near the Qingshui River, recounted the terrifying moment. In just 15 minutes, the flood rushed into our neighborhood, sweeping away gas canisters, furniture, everything. We fled to the second floor, but the water chased us, reaching waist-high. Our second car was submerged and ruined. Footage from the scene shows vehicles floating like boats, bridges collapsed, and residents climbing onto rooftops, desperately calling for help while authorities were conspicuously absent. Not far away, Fengjiayu town became a symbol of devastation. The main road, once bustling with activity, transformed into a river of debris and waste. A resident, filming from a hilltop, cried out, "Look, the entire town is gone. The Runshun Expressway bridge was washed away, and the water is everywhere." Power outages, communication failures, and isolation cut Fengjiayu off from the outside world. Mr. Li, a local, shared, "I've never seen floods like this. The water smashed through my door, taking everything. Homes in low-lying areas collapsed, buried in mud over a meter deep. Roads are torn up, impassable. In villages like Xiaozaizi and Gaozhuangzi, cries for help rang out, but rescue teams couldn't reach them due to destroyed bridges. A Gaozhuangzi resident sobbed, "My family has no water, no electricity, no food. We're stranded on our roof begging for help, but no one comes. Our door was wrecked by the flood, our yard submerged. We're finished." At the center of this catastrophe is the Three Gorges Dam, once hailed as an engineering marvel, but now exposed as a lethal liability. On July 2, 2025, the reservoir's water level reached 152.87 meters, surpassing the official flood threshold. By July 7th, it hit a dangerous 171 meters, nearing the maximum design limit of 175 meters. The immense pressure from an inflow of 30,000 cubic meters per second sent Beijing's leaders into a panic. In closed-door meetings at Shanghai, an anonymous source revealed a chilling truth. "We're out of options. The dam is under unprecedented strain. If it breaks, hundreds of millions downstream in Yichang, Wuhan, and Nanjing will face a nationwide systemic disaster." To save the dam, authorities discharged a record 44,000 cubic meters per second on July 16, 2024, equivalent to filling nearly 300 West Lakes in a single day. While this saved the dam, it unleashed catastrophic flooding downstream, submerging homes, crops, and livelihoods. This disaster is not solely nature's doing, but the result of cold political calculations. On June 27th, Xinhua News announced a shocking plan: sacrifice low-lying areas to protect key regions. In Renhuai, Guizhou, the Tuoku hydropower plant opened 7 floodgates, releasing a torrent from the Yuan River that engulfed the town without warning. A resident recounted, "The water came so fast, roads were torn apart, houses collapsed. We barely made it to the second floor, hearing the roar as the flood smashed through our door. Our fridge, TV, everything was swept away in seconds." The policy of sacrificing lowlands plunged millions into misery. Dr. Wang Weiluo, a hydrologist involved in the Three Gorges project, called it a colossal deception. He revealed that the dam was kept full to maximize power generation, violating safety protocols requiring the water level to drop to 145 meters during flood season. The result? Emergency discharges, often at night to evade accountability, wreaked havoc downstream. As floodwaters submerged villages, Beijing's silence amplified the desperation. A Miyun blogger posted a plea. "An entire village hasn't been rescued. The government claims evacuation happened, but no rescue teams have arrived. I called the 12,345 hotline all day, getting only vague responses." A conversation with a town official exposed their helplessness. "We sent people, but we can't contact the rescue team. If it rains heavily tonight, we don't know what to do." The delay and lack of transparency left residents feeling abandoned. A Fengjiayu resident said, 3 days without water, electricity, or internet. We're like castaways on an island with no idea when help will come." The floods not only destroyed homes, but dealt a devastating blow to the economy. In Henan, while the north drowned, severe drought scorched the land, withering crops. A farmer lamented, "Corn and peanuts are all dead. If it doesn't rain in 10 days, dozens of acres will be a total loss." In Taishitun, farmland was buried in mud, and collapsed bridges halted agricultural transport. Industry wasn't spared either. In Xi'an, Hubei, small shops and factories were ravaged. Ms. Li, an herbal medicine shop owner, wept, "My life's work is buried in mud. How can we survive?" Vehicles swept away, and infrastructure in ruins left communities destitute. The absence of senior leaders amid the crisis fueled doubts about the CCP's competence and intentions. Vice Premier Zhang Guoqing, responsible for disaster response, visited Hubei on July 1st and 2nd, but focused on economic projects rather than aiding flooded cities. Commentator Li Linyi noted, Under Xi Jinping, the CCP has abandoned populist theatrics. Gone are the days of leaders visiting disaster sites to console victims. Instead, the regime prioritized information control. In Xi'an, official reports claimed 18,000 people were evacuated with no casualties, but locals contradicted this. A couple died from electrocution in the flood. Many were injured, but the government hides it. The true death toll remains a closely guarded secret, fueling public outrage. The greatest threat lies not just in the floods, but in the Three Gorges Dam itself. The reservoir's 39.3 billion cubic meters of water have increased seismic activity 30-fold since it was filled. The government admits the dam's structure has slightly shifted, raising fears about its stability. An engineer warned, a major earthquake or landslide could trigger a catastrophic chain reaction. We're walking a tightrope, and no one knows when it might snap. If the dam fails, the consequences would be apocalyptic, not just in lives and property lost, but in a political shockwave that could undermine the CCP's legitimacy. Michael Allen, a researcher at the Hoover Institution, argued, a Three Gorges failure would be a fatal blow to the CCP's credibility. The regime staked its reputation on the dam's success. If it fails, its promise of security and competence collapses. The 2025 floods have exposed deep cracks in China's governance. From isolated villages in Miyun to cities along the Yangtze, citizens are paying the price for the CCP's ambition and errors. A battered economy, social unrest, and eroding trust paint a picture of a nation in profound crisis. Hidden truths, from the real death toll to the dam's precarious state, only deepen the anger. As the floodwaters recede, the question isn't whether the CCP can weather this storm, but whether it can survive when the waves of truth finally break.
2025年的中国陷入了一场无情的噩梦，自然的狂怒与人为的失误交汇，酿成了一场席卷全国的灾难性危机，将数百万人推向绝望的深渊。从北京繁华的街头到四川偏远的村落，洪水如猛兽般肆虐，吞噬家园，冲毁生计，并揭露了中国共产党中共长期掩盖的秘密。在这场风暴的核心，屹立着三峡大坝，曾经是中国征服自然雄心的象征，如今却化为一颗威胁数亿生命的定时炸弹。从被洪水包围的屋顶传来的求救声，社交媒体上疯传的惨烈视频，以及北京方面诡异的沉默，勾勒出一幅国家在经济、社会与政治崩溃边缘摇摇欲坠的画面。洪水肆虐，从暴雨到灭顶之灾。这场灾难始于连绵不绝的暴雨，但迅速演变为无法控制的洪流。根据水利部迟来的公告，截至2025年6月底至7月初，全国329条河流的水位超过警戒线。作为国家心脏的北京，也未能幸免于难。密云水库为了自保，被迫泄洪，导致下游的潮河与白河水位暴涨，洪水如脱缰野马般冲向下游。密云区太石屯镇沦为一座孤岛，洪水涌入民宅，达到3楼甚至4楼的高度。当地居民冯女士回忆起那恐怖一刻时，仍心有余悸。仅仅15分钟，洪水就冲进了我们的小区，瓦斯罐、家具什么都被卷走。我们逃到2楼，但水势汹涌，很快就淹到腰部。我们的第2辆车完全被水吞没，报废了。现场视频显示，汽车在水面上漂浮如舟，桥梁坍塌，居民爬上屋顶，绝望地呼喊救援，而政府部门却仿佛人间蒸发，毫无踪影。不远处的凤家峪镇成为这场灾难的缩影。 曾经热闹的主干道，如今化为一片垃圾与陨地的洪流。一位站在山坡上的居民含泪拍摄视频，声嘶力竭地喊道：“看儿，整个镇子没了！”润顺高速公路桥被冲毁，水无处不在，停电、通信中断与交通瘫痪，让凤家峪镇与外界彻底隔绝。当地居民李先生无奈地说：“我从没见过这样的洪水，水流冲破我家大门，带走了一切。低洼地区的房子全塌了，泥浆深达1米多，道路也被撕裂，根本无法通行。”在下寨子村与高庄子村，求救的呼声此起彼伏，但由于桥梁被毁，救援队伍无法抵达。一位高庄子村的居民泣不成声：“我们一家人没水、没电、没食物，困在屋顶上苦苦哀求救援，却无人回应。大门被洪水撞毁，院子被淹没，我们完了。”三峡大坝从辉煌到致命威胁，这场灾难的中心正是曾被誉为工程奇迹的三峡大坝，如今却暴露为致命的隐患。2025年7月2日，三峡水库水位达到152.87米，超过官方的防洪警戒线。到了7月7日，水位攀升至171米，逼近175米的设计极限。每秒3万立方米的入库流量，让大坝承受前所未有的压力。据一位不愿透露姓名的知情人士透露，在中南海的闭门会议中，高层领导陷入恐慌，我们已经别无选择。大坝正面临前所未有的考验。如果它崩溃，宜昌、武汉、南京等下游地区的数亿人将面临全国性的系统性灾难。为了保住大坝，当局于2024年7月16日创纪录的泄洪，每秒排放 4.4 万立方米的水量，相当于一天内将近300个西湖的水量倾泻而出。这一举措虽然暂时保住了大坝，却让下游地区陷入毁灭性洪灾，家园、农田与生计被无情吞噬，人祸加剧，政治决策的代价。这场灾难并非纯粹的天灾，而是冷酷的政治决策所致。6月27日，新华社发布了一则令人震惊的消息，为了保护核心地区，当局决定牺牲低洼地带。在贵州仁怀，脱口水电站未经预警便开启7道闸门，泄放沅江洪水，瞬间将小镇吞没。一位居民回忆道：“洪水来得太快，道路被撕裂，房屋瞬间倒塌。我们勉强逃到2楼，听到洪水撞击大门的轰鸣声，冰箱、电视，一切都被冲走，只在今。”一位密云的网友在社交媒体上发出求救，整整一个村子还没被救援。政府声称已经疏散，但根本没有救援队到达。我整天拨打12345热线，只得到含糊其辞的回应。一位镇政府官员在私下对话中无奈表示：“我们派了人，但联系不上救援队。如果今晚再下大雨，我们也不知道该怎么办。”这种拖延与资讯不透明，让居民感到被彻底抛弃。一位凤家峪的居民说：“3天没有水电，也没网路，我们就像被困在孤岛上的弃民，连救援什么时候到都不知道。”经济崩溃与生计断绝。洪水不仅摧毁家园，还对经济造成毁灭性打击。在河南，北部地区被洪水淹没的同时，南部却遭受严重干旱，农作物枯萎。一位农民哀叹：“玉米、花生全死了。如果10天内不下雨，几十亩地将血本无归。”在太石屯，农田被泥浆掩埋，桥梁坍塌导致农产品运输中断，工业也未能幸免。在湖北十堰，小型商店与工厂被洪水重创。一位经营中药店的李女士痛哭道：“我一生的心血全被泥浆埋没了，我们怎么活下去？”车辆被冲走，基础设施被摧毁，让无数社区陷入赤贫。中共的缺席与信任危机。在危机中，高层领导的缺席让民众对中共的能力与意图产生质疑。负责灾害应对的副总理张国清在7月1日至2日视察湖北时，却将焦点放在经济项目上，无视受灾城市的困境。评论家李林一指出，在习近平领导下，中共已放弃过去的民粹作秀。 领导人亲赴灾区安抚民众的时代已不复存在。与此同时，当局更注重资讯控制。在十堰，官方报告宣称 1.8 万人已安全疏散，无人伤亡，但当地居民反驳，一对夫妇在洪水中触电身亡，许多人受伤，但政府却隐pansy。真实的死亡人数成为严守的秘密，激起了公众的愤怒。三峡大坝的隐患，地震与崩溃的阴影。最大的威胁不仅来自洪水，而是三峡大坝本身。393亿立方米的水库蓄水量，使周边地震活动增加30倍。政府承认大坝结构已略有位移，引发了对其稳定性的担忧。一位工程师警告，一次大地震或山体滑坡可能引发灾难性的连锁反应。我们在走钢丝，没人知道何时会断裂。若大坝崩溃，后果将是灾难性的，不仅是生命与财产的损失，更将引发政治地震，动摇中共的合法性。胡佛研究所研究员迈克尔·阿伦指出，三峡大坝的失败将是对中共声誉的致命打击。这个政权将其威信压在这座大坝的成功上。若它崩溃，其安全与能力的承诺将彻底破灭。结语：裂痕中的中国。2025年的洪灾暴露了中国治理的深层裂痕。从密云的孤立村庄到长江沿岸的城市，民众为中共的野心与失误付出了沉重代价。经济的崩溃，社会的动荡与信任的侵蚀，描绘出一幅国家深陷危机的图景。隐藏的真相，从真实的死亡人数到大坝的危险状态，让民众的愤怒与日俱增。当洪水退去，
Since yesterday, everyone has been in a state of panic over the water pollution incident in Liangzhu. Several of my friends said their homes started smelling foul. One of my friends is already experiencing gastrointestinal issues. The odor hasn't subsided at all. It's incredibly strong. Someone joked that Hangzhou is trying to turn into Smellzhou, but it's not a joke. The smell is indescribable. Everyone's buying bottled water now. Tap water is undrinkable. My stomach hurts. Hangzhou was supposed to be recovering recently, but now it's become a public health crisis. Sorry, I'm not trying to mock anyone. I just couldn't hold in my reaction. Many users are reporting the same thing, including platforms like Fenshui. I'm honestly speechless. I've left the water running for over 10 minutes and it still stinks. It's unbearable. Right now, even taking a shower means you're using contaminated water. Shanghai, once China's shimmering beacon of progress, now lies in ruin, its streets silenced by a devastating flood and a deeper societal decay. Last month, the Huangpu River, long the city's lifeblood, erupted in a torrent of toxic sludge, submerging entire districts in a noxious brew of industrial waste. Streets like Xindong Road, the East, Third Ring Road, and Guomao, once vibrant hubs of commerce, stand barren. Their pavements, fractured, their gutters, choked with water, reeking of chemicals and decay. Shopping malls in Shujiahui and Lujiazui, formerly bustling with consumers, are desolate shells. Their lower floors coated in silt, their escalators frozen. By 9 p.m., Jingting Street in Hebei's historic core is a ghostly expanse. Its restaurants shuttered, their tables scarred by floodwater stains. Official reports claim Shanghai houses over 8 million residents. Yet the city feels abandoned, its vitality drowned in a deluge that has laid bare a triple crisis: environmental catastrophe, economic collapse, and a profound erosion of trust. Descriptions of the odor and discoloration. People are saying the tap water started to smell last night. But the most alarming thing is, let me describe this for you. I'm standing by the bathroom door in my house, and I can smell the stench from here. It's not something that goes away with time. People said, just let the water run a bit and it'll stop smelling. That didn't happen. Many netizens observed that the water truly smells awful. And when you collect it directly under the tap, you can see it's not clean. Let me show you what it looked like this morning when I brushed my teeth. The most successful business in Yuhang district right now is the bottled water seller. I saw people lining up to buy it. First signs of contamination. Just earlier, while washing vegetables, I noticed the water smelled terrible, like raw sewage. My hands still reek. Should I even eat these vegetables now? It's outrageous. There are reports that Hangzhou has accidentally connected the tap water lines to the sewage system. While riding my electric scooter, I passed several sewer drains. Water was bubbling out of all of them. Officials are insisting the water is fine. Really? Then what's this? It doesn't look like orange juice. I've read so many posts online, and the truth is, it not only smells bad, it looks disgusting too. Photos like this, and this one. There are just too many. 21st, the 6th day since the incident started. I've left the water running for 20 minutes and it looks worse than yesterday. Let's test the water again today. I'm not doing this for fun. I'm still worried. We're stirring it and inspecting it, but it's still yellowish brown. Not completely brown, but definitely yellow with a murky tone. The foul-smelling water incident in Yuhang district continues to escalate. Many citizens believe they've been drinking sewage. There are rumors that the tap water system has been mistakenly connected to street drainage. Some say a water bureau official sabotaged operations in retaliation against his superior, causing 13 major pipelines in the central city to be connected to sewer lines. Authorities claim it's just a rumor but have yet to identify the true source of contamination. A vague official statement only raises more suspicions. Let's talk about this sewage water situation in Yuhang. The people of Yuhang have suffered enough. I was wrong yesterday. I thought it only affected a few hundred households. But then someone messaged me on WeChat politely but firmly saying, "What do you mean? A few hundred? I live in Yuhang, bro. I've been drinking this water for a whole week. Where's my apology?" It turns out this could be affecting over 100,000 or even several 100,000 households. I don't know the exact number, but even if we lowball the estimate, it's still enormous. Some people speculate it's due to a mistaken connection, tap water pipes accidentally linked with sewer lines. Others claim a high-ranking official gave an order to merge wastewater and drinking water pipelines under the excuse that it could be filtered later. Decades ago, Shanghai stood as a symbol of China's ascent, its skyline rivaling global capitals, its economy briefly surpassing Beijing's in 2020. Factories churned, offices thrived, and migrants flooded in, drawn by promises of prosperity. Today, that vision is a distant memory. Commercial districts, particularly shops beneath towering residential complexes, are either boarded up, marked with desperate for lease signs, or rendered uninhabitable by the flood's poisonous residue. In Sanlitun, once a kaleidoscope of neon and nightlife storefronts gape empty, their interiors ruined by water laced with industrial toxins. During the recent Dragon Boat Festival in Anting County, no tourists roamed, no vendors called out. Only the ripple of stagnant floodwater broke the oppressive silence. The festive spirit, once a hallmark of Shanghai's holidays, has vanished, replaced by an eerie desolation. Social media posts, often censored within hours, estimate 1 million residents are jobless, their livelihoods swept away alongside the city's infrastructure. The flood has unleashed a public health nightmare, amplifying China's long-ignored water crisis. The Huangpu's surge carried decades of industrial runoff mercury-cadmium microplastics from upstream factories transforming rivers into conduits of poison. In Minhang, tap water emits a gasoline-like stench, leaving an oily film on boiled rice, forcing families to boil it repeatedly in futile hopes of safety. In rural Pudong, farmers watch crops wither under contaminated irrigation, their greens and peaches banned from markets for fear of toxicity. Bottled water, now triple the price of 2 years ago, is a luxury beyond the reach of many, while the poor resort to river water fully aware it's a gamble with their health. Cancer rates soar in so-called cancer villages, near industrial zones where leukemia and kidney tumors claim children before adolescence. Official reports from the Ministry of Ecology and Environment claim 90% of monitored water sources meet safety standards, but these claims omit rural wells and obscure the criteria, leaving residents to navigate a daily gauntlet of distrust. Satellite imagery and NGO reports reveal a different truth: contamination spreading across central and eastern provinces, with rivers like the Huai in Jiangsu running thick with chemical sludge, their surfaces refusing to blend with rainwater. This environmental catastrophe is no accident, but the culmination of decades of systemic neglect. Since the 1980s, China's industrial boom turned rivers into dumping grounds. Textile plants, pharmaceutical factories, and metal refiners in Pudong and beyond discharged waste with impunity, encouraged by local governments prioritizing GDP over health. Regulations existed, but enforcement was a farce. Fines were negligible, cheaper than investing in wastewater treatment. Pipes were laid, not to clean sewage but to shunt it downstream out of sight. By 2015, over 80% of rural wells were deemed severely polluted, yet factories continued unabated, their toxins seeping into the Huangpu and Yangtze. The recent flood tore open this hidden wound, spreading poison into homes, fields, and markets. Fish float dead along the Huangpu's banks, and villagers in Zoiga report a stench so potent they wear masks indoors. In Shandong, a textile factory's discharge turned tap water red and blue, hospitalizing children and elderly with gastrointestinal ailments. Yet local officials dismissed it as a temporary waterline imbalance, their denials erasing online evidence within hours. In Sichuan's industrial corridor, a paper mill's wastewater poisons the Min River, killing fish and tainting drinking sources, while residents in Guangzhou and Nanjing report tap water smelling of plastic, causing rashes and ulcers. Economic collapse compounds this environmental disaster. Since 2024, hundreds of small and medium-sized banks have folded, crippled by bad loans tied to a collapsing real estate market. The flood has rendered countless properties worthless. Their foundations eroded their interiors. Toxic, leaving banks with submerged collateral and depositors withdrawing funds in panic. On May 23, 2025, the Ministry of Finance's 50-year Treasury bonds, intended as a signal of stability, were met with a bid multiple of just 2.27, a public rebuke of the regime's credibility. Financial analysts describe it as a silent referendum, with even state banks refusing to prop up a faltering system. Real estate. Once Shanghai's economic engine lies in ruins, developers' default projects, stall, and half-built towers stand as waterlogged skeletons. The flood's toxic residue ensures no swift recovery. Entire neighborhoods are uninhabitable, their pipes corroded, their value erased. The banking sector's turmoil reflects a broader crisis of confidence, with depositors fearing further collapses and regulators offering only vague reassurances. The human toll is staggering, marked by hunger, illness, and loss. The flood destroyed farmlands and markets, leaving food supplies scarce and families starving. In Minhang, parents boil water 5 times to feed infants, fearing invisible toxins, while in Pudong, farmers face ruin as their tainted crops are shunned. Bottled water scandals, bacterial contamination, mislabeled sources deepen the crisis, while overpriced filtration systems offer false hope. In cancer villages, mothers bury children lost to leukemia, their grief silenced by censorship. Urban residents report fatigue, hormonal imbalances, and infections linked to contaminated water, yet clinics offer no answers and authorities deflect blame. Reports of missing children haunt social media, their fates entangled with the flood's chaos. A boy from Putian, Fujian, vanished near a swollen canal. In Beijing, a 15-year-old was lost in the western hills, swept away by a flooded stream. In Yunnan, Wuhan, Nanjing, and Anhui, teenagers disappear on errands at libraries on their way to school, some caught in floodwaters, others lost to the broader collapse. Schools and kindergartens close as families flee or fall ill, their playgrounds overtaken by weeds and stagnant pools. Social media buzzes with speculation challenging the official 1.4 billion population figure. A netizen from Anhui cited a public security source claiming only 760 million remain, while another from Liaoning alleged mass urban deaths during the pandemic, now compounded by the flood's toll. These claims, though unverified, fuel distrust, as empty train stations, deserted highways, and abandoned villages paint a picture of a nation hollowed out. In Jiangsu, a village once home to 5,000 is now a waterlogged ruin, its large gated homes crumbling, a faded spring gala poster clinging to a wall, a relic of lost joy. In Hunan, a town of tens of thousands shelters barely 100 its buildings, unsafe its hospital and cinema overtaken by decay. In western Jiangsu, a former hub of 10,000 is patrolled only by security guards, its infrastructure a flooded wasteland. The desolation extends beyond Shanghai, with rural areas in Zhejiang and Shandong mirroring this decay, their fields poisoned, their communities deserted. This crisis stems from three systemic failures. First, industrialization ran unchecked, with factories offered tax breaks and lax oversight to fuel growth. Rivers like the Yangtze and Pearl became drainage canals for heavy metals and pharmaceuticals, their ecosystems destroyed. Second, environmental agencies, subordinate to GDP-obsessed local governments, lack the power to enforce regulations. Inspections are staged, whistleblowers silenced, and fines treated as a cost of business. The 2015 Water 10 plan promised reform, but without local accountability, it faltered. Third, urban expansion outpaced infrastructure. Ghost cities rose with gleaming high-rises, but no modern sewage systems, leaving stormwater and waste to mingle in outdated pipes. Groundwater over-extracted and polluted by pesticides, and runoff is no longer a refuge. The flood exposed these flaws, turning Shanghai's ambition into a toxic liability. Social tensions are rising. In Qingpu, parents confronted a chemical plant in May 2025, after 5 children were diagnosed with leukemia, only to face police crackdowns and censored videos. A villager's plea, "We just want water that won't kill our children," vanished from the internet within hours. Online forums overflow with questions. Is my district's water safe? What's causing the smell? Answers are scarce, as censorship stifles outrage. In wealthier districts, a new divide emerges. Luxury buildings boast imported purification systems, while ordinary residents queue at public dispensers, uncertain of the water's safety. The poor spend half their income on bottled water, while community wells, dug in desperation, draw from poisoned aquifers. Farmers face a double blow: tainted irrigation ruins crops, and their produce is shunned, plunging agricultural communities into poverty. This is not just an environmental tragedy, but a collapse of legitimacy. When water, the essence of life, becomes poison, the state's promise endure for prosperity crumbles. Residents distrust the air, food, and schools haunted by fear that every sip or shower carries danger. Teenagers jest that water is seasoning, not hydration, masking dread with dark humor. The flood, carrying decades of industrial sin, has laid bare a system that prioritized concrete over humanity. Shanghai's skyline, once a symbol of triumph, now mocks its decay. The bond market's failure, the banking sector's collapse, and the toxic waters are symptoms of a deeper malaise, a nation unraveling under the weight of its own ambition. Entire communities have grown accustomed to filtering every liter, boiling every drop, avoiding every river. Yet the silence persists. Censorship replaces transparency. Fear supplants outrage, and resignation creeps in. If 80% of China's water is toxic, how long until trust is wholly extinguished? Shanghai. Once the nation's pride, stands as a warning. A city drowned, not just in water but in betrayal. Its streets empty, its future uncertain, its people left to navigate a poisoned present with no promise of redemption. Promise of redemption. Promise. There's also a theory that people have been drinking sewage for a long time. They just forgot to turn on the filtration valve that day. If you shower in sewage, that's one thing. But if you drink it, wash rice with it, rinse vegetables and fruit with it, you're basically eating human waste. Let's not forget there are food processing factories in the affected area. Ordinary people can still buy bottled water, but food manufacturers don't stop production. That means their products, including drinks and packaged foods, might already be circulating nationwide. So this isn't just a local problem anymore. Anyone in China could end up eating something produced in the contaminated zone. Now everyone's panicking. I wanted to order food delivery today, but even then I had to worry what kind of water did they use to cook. There's been a run on bottled water. I ordered 2 large jugs this afternoon, but the estimated delivery time was 3 to 4 hours. What's even scarier is that this time people caught on because the water stank. But what if there wasn't a smell next time? Is there a detection system in place? Are there daily inspections? Authorities haven't provided any answers. That's why people are so afraid. And then these netizens, some of their comments really made me laugh. One wrote, "We apologize for the inconvenience." But it should be, "We apologize for the excrement." Another joke going around is, "Now even taking a crap needs to be metered." The term metered crap has become a sarcastic nickname. Officials in Yuhang announced that affected households would receive a rebate of 5 tons of water, about 15 yuan, in compensation, since tap water costs 3 yuan per ton. But many mocked this 5 tons might wash the sewage out of the pipes, but it won't wash away the psychological trauma. Some netizens even pointed out that the food factories never stopped during the crisis. That means products from the region, including snacks, drinks, and daily use items, may have been distributed nationwide. On July 19th, officials stated that there were many online rumors, and the police would begin investigating misinformation. This marked the start of censorship. Posts, videos, and comments were deleted or restricted. Some users even had their accounts blocked. Reports from other provinces reveal that as early as May, the concentration of fecal bacteria in the local Yongsheng Canal jumped 730 times the normal level. By June, the count reached 16,000 per milliliter. In 2 nearby reservoirs, the numbers were even worse, 28,000 and 24,000 respectively. It turns out people in the area had already been drinking contaminated water for over a month. Yesterday, I posted a video asking where this wastewater came from, what exactly is its source. Within a day, the video was restricted and made visible only to myself. That's terrifying. We're not even allowed to speak. It reminds me of past crises when the government tried to silence the truth with similar tactics. Are they really trying to buy the health of 3 million people with a 5-ton water rebate? Let me ask you. This is 15 yuan. Worth the peace of mind of 3 million residents? Officials said, all indicators meet drinking water standards except the odor. I almost laughed. That's wordplay. What about the health of 3 million people? Can you dismiss it like that? If your goal is to make up for our losses, don't just give 15 yuan worth of water. Might as well hand out a bubble tea coupon. It's worth more, 12 hours of silence. Too little, too late. The most unacceptable part, the water issue, was first discovered at 9:00 a.m. The government didn't issue a public announcement until 9:44 p.m. That's 12 hours of silence. In those 12 hours, 3 million people bathed, cooked, drank water. Many had already ingested enough. Some even reported that after showering, their pets tried to bury them, mimicking a death ritual. One person filtered their water with cotton. It came out brown and cloudy. Yet the officials claimed no unusual substances found. No final answer. No accountability. Even now, the official explanation keeps changing. First, they said it's due to fluctuations in source water. Then, it's not a sewage pipe connection. Later, it was due to equipment mishandling. So, which is it? I just want a straight answer. Why is that so hard? Silent exodus, and betrayal. Yesterday morning, I left my house early. The underground parking lot was nearly empty on a Friday morning. That means many people likely fled Yuhang overnight after work, seeking safe places to eat, bathe, and stay. By nightfall, the parking garage was still empty. I had never seen it like that before. People have abandoned the area out of fear, but not me. I have nowhere else to go. I really considered Hangzhou my home. But Hangzhou, did you ever treat me like family? Why do I deserve this? Why do I have to drink sewage, skip showers, and go through this suffering? Daily life disrupted. No relief. People here in Yuhang don't know what to do. For several days, they've avoided tap water completely. Some have spent hundreds of yuan buying bottled water. And even when tap water returned, no one dared to use it. Some households have young children. They travel over 10 kilometers to other districts to bathe in hotels. They don't even eat in Yuhang anymore. The government property managers and the water company. None of them delivered a single bottle of water. They just said, "You'll get 5 tons of free water." But how? Who's tracking it? What about those who already drank the sewage? 1 yuan per ton. So 5 tons equals 15 yuan. Is our suffering worth just 15 yuan? If I gave you 1 million yuan, would you drink sewage? But now you expect Yuhang residents to get over it for 15. Long-term fears. Nationwide impact. What happens next? Will we ever trust tap water again? Every single pipe in our homes has been contaminated with waste. Who dares to use it again? Some say, this will blow over, but how can it? People are scared. The trauma is real. Yuhang has become a ghost zone. Bottled water is scarce. Even after filtering the tap water, we still boil it, then filter it again just to feel safe. This is a big city. If Hangzhou can't manage its water crisis, who can? No help. Just ridicule. The incident has been brewing for days, yet no official, no agency has delivered water to our neighborhood. The property managers are silent. The government is silent. The water company is silent. They say free 5 tons of water, but how is that supposed to work? A stomach full of sewage water in exchange for a rebate. That's what it's come to. Nationwide distribution of contaminated products. One final concern: local industries never stopped working. Factories making beer-bottled drinks and packaged foods continued production. Trucks loaded with goods left Hangzhou every day, headed for every corner of China. Now everyone in the country may be at risk of consuming products made with sewage water. A warning for all of China. Liu Ao, a Chinese expat in the U.S., said this feels like COVID all over again. The CCP suppresses the truth, silences whistleblowers, and leaves the public to suffer. When truth is dangerous, they erase it, just like with the chained woman case, just like so many times before. Cities like Beijing, Hangzhou, Guangzhou, and Hebei are seeing repeated water contamination incidents. Studies have shown that after heavy rainfall and floods, water can become discolored, cloudy, and foul-smelling. It may contain chemical residues, industrial waste, and dangerous bacteria. Don't think it's just Hangzhou. I posted a video about the Hangzhou water crisis. Then I said actually Beijing's tap water isn't great either. Someone accused me of fear-mongering, but I wasn't lying. I posted proof videos from June 7th showing clean water using filter pads. Now the same filters turn yellow-brown. So don't think this is just about Hangzhou. The whole country may be vulnerable. The real crisis. It's the water system behind the scenes. Behind the scenes.